Hey guys, Matt from Eastwood. We're here in the Eastwood garage doing another live tech session for you guys on Facebook, YouTube, and also eastwood.com. So thanks for joining us. If you guys haven't watched one of these before, we like them to be interactive. So if you can join us on the chat, we got Scott over here who's our lead tech. He's answering questions for us. How you doing today, Scott?
Not too bad. It's good. I'm all dug out from the snow from yesterday and back here again.
Yeah, so thanks guys for anybody that tried to call yesterday and wasn't able to reach us. We did have a pretty bad storm, so we thank you guys for being patient with us. So back in the garage today. Today we're talking about the Tin Zinc System. So this is a product that we've sold for quite a number of years. I don't want to say it's one of our first products, but if you've been getting our catalog for a number of years, you've seen this. And this is one of these products that we get questions about, but really doesn't get shown in use or what it does very often. So pretty simple kit. But it has really cool results if you take the time to set it all up. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of what's in the kit here. So it comes with a solution that basically there's an electrical current that will be run through here. So this is what actually kind of helps transfer the electrical current to the part. We of course have a funnel, our safety goggles to keep us safe. This is the container that you can put the solution in. So we still have it in here. But in here is the solution, and this is where you can dip your part. If you want to get a number of kits, you can put them together, and you can actually do multiple items at once. This is our actual Tin Zinc anode here. That is what actually, it's sacrificial. So when you're plating something, it's actually pulling the material off of this and putting it onto the part. So I have it just bent a little bit here, so it was setting over the edge, which we'll show you in a minute. Also comes with a little brush that actually looks kind of funny because it's got some of the anode attached to it here with heat shrink. What that's for is that helps you if you need to do any touch-ups. You can actually use this and you can brush it on to touch up a little spot if something happened where you missed a spot or maybe where your connector was attached. Finally, the last two things, there's Aerosol. If you're polishing, you're going to need to polish it afterwards. So this is what we found works best is the Aerosol. You can polish that up and get a nice shine out of it. And finally, the business end. We have a little battery pack area here where you put two size D batteries in here. And they're basically going to be 1.5 volts each. What you need is 3 volts. The system needs 3 volts running to it to actually make it work. So when you have two of these batteries in here, that's what creates the 3 volts that we need. One wire is hooked to the negative side, and one wire is hooked to the other battery on the positive side. So we did this part here, the spark plug wire cover. I think we have some footage that we can show you that I'll talk you through when we actually did the process here. So I'm dumping the solution into the bottle that we showed you. And I have the anode in there, and I'm putting the positive wire on the anode and the negative on the part. Because this is a pretty large part, I left it in for about 20-25 minutes. And this is how it comes out of the solution, dull gray. And then we start wiping it with the Aerosol here. And it starts to come up after you rub it quite a bit. And you can see the difference in the process here. We have the raw material that's just freshly blasted, unpolished, and finally the polished finish on this. And here's the actual one here. You can see, came out with a nice shine. Now this was just a freshly blasted part. If you want something to get an even more brilliant shine, excuse me, you can polish this up ahead of time. So similar to what you would do with a powder coat, or one of our translucent powder coats or a chrome powder coat, you want to polish it to have it shiny. Similar process for this. This is basically the same process as what you're doing for chroming. So when you see a brilliant chromed part, this is kind of a small version of what you're doing with that. So the other great thing about this is it's not a paint. This isn't something that's going to flake off. This is actually dipped in the solution, and it's plated to the part. So this is not going to come off. It's not going to scratch off easily. The other great thing about this is you can buff this. So if you're careful with a loose sewn buff wheel on your buffer and a little bit of compound, you can lightly buff this and even bring it up further to get a better shine. The The other thing is this is a metal coating, so you can actually, if you have a part that you need to repair or you need to solder or something on that, it will transfer the current through it, so you can use it for that. So this is the final part here, and we could do this whole thing. Basically the only part that you need to continue buying, the solution doesn't really go bad per se, but the tin zinc portion, the little rod here that you stick in there, it is sacrificial. So as you use this, it will actually eat it away. You can see on the back side here, where just from the little bit that we've done, it's already starting to turn a little bit gray there, and that's where it's starting to eat it away. So it's going to get thinner and thinner the more you use it, and once it basically crumbles and falls apart, then it's time for a new one. The length of time that this will last will vary between the parts you're doing. Most parts only take anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes to coat, depending on the size. Because this was a larger part that we were doing in one shot, I left it in for a little bit longer. And that's what, took a little longer to do that, and it takes a little more of the material away, of course. Scott, do we have any questions? Anybody asked so far?
As of right now, you're spot on.
Great.
You definitely covered everything.
I'm covering everything. So for you guys that are just joining us today, what we're doing is our Tin Zinc Kit, which is a kit that we've had for quite a long time. What this does is allows you to plate parts at home to give you a nice shiny silver finish that is highly resistant to corrosion, and also gives it a nice look that kind of matches the OEM finish on some parts. So again, it comes with a solution that you actually is the conductor, and we dip the parts in here. We have the funnel, we have our goggles, a little touch-up brush here. It's got a piece of the tin zinc connected on the back that's heat shrunk to it for doing touch-ups. We have the actual anode that is the sacrificial material that actually is what's transferred to the part. We have a polish, Aerosol, which works really great. And then finally we have the business end here, where we put 2 batteries in, D-size batteries that equal 3 volts, and we have our connectors here that you actually attach, which are handy. So we have some footage here that I want to show you guys another time for anybody that's just joining us, where we just put the solution in to do the process, hook the positive wire to the anode and the negative to the part, kept them separated in the bath, and I let it sit in there for about 15-20 minutes because it was a larger part, and it comes out with that dull gray finish there that you can see. And as we rub some Aerosol on there, the Aerosol starts bringing up that bright silver finish, and in the end you can see the corner section that I did, how it comes out of the bath, and then finally the raw blasted metal that we started with. So you can do a pretty nice transformation, and you can polish this part up to a really bright silver finish, as you can see on this here, that comes out. So this is going to look as good or better than new if you take the time to do that. So that's what this one looks like here from the start. You can see on this side here, it was pretty rough. This is how pretty much the whole thing looked when we started. It was covered in surface rust, had a little bit of pitting. If you need to fill in pits on this, you can do multiple coats. There's no rule against putting multiple coats on this. Just like when they do chrome plating, they do a number of passes through the plating tanks. You can do a similar thing where you can dip this in and plate it a few times to build up, and you can fill very minor pits by doing that. Really heavy pits, you would have to put something down first to fix that, whether you solder or you weld in a new piece. But this is how it turns out. It's pretty easy. You can do it at home. If you want to do larger parts, again, you can buy multiple batches of the solution, and you just get a bigger tank. You fill it up, and you can put your part in it and do that. You may need to replace the tin zinc more often, or you may need to put a couple of them in there to connect it, to piggyback it, to get it. But you can do larger parts. It's just a matter of how much solution, space, and time you got. So that's any other questions you got, Scott, over there?
Yeah, I got a good one that
Sure.
kind of piggybacks off of it. Would be, Rue wants to know what kind of clear would be good to be put over top of that if you want to really protect it.
Okay, so we had a question of what the clear coat that you would want to put over top of this finish. Now, one thing I will note, This does not require a clear coat. This is an actual plated finish, so it is very, very highly corrosion resistant. So this will not, you won't have any issue with it corroding or with rust coming up through. So it doesn't necessarily need a clear coat, but if you want to bring more of a shine out or get a gloss on it, we have our Diamond Clear. It's a good one that we've sold for years that works well. We also have our 2K Aerosol Clears that you can use that actually gives you a 2-part clear coat that will be just like spraying out of a paint gun. Or we also have our Exo Armor, which works really, really well, that you can wipe on, and that will be kind of a see-through. It won't give it as much of an additional shine as an actual traditional clear coat will, but it'll be resistant to high heat, just like this part would be here that's actually plated. But that's a good question. You can put clear coat over it. Just use one of those few to get the finish that you're looking for. Good one. Any other questions we got?
Trying to see here. I think pinholes. What would you do with pinholes?
With pinholes, I kind of touched on a little bit, but if you have pinholes or if you have pitting in the metal, there's a couple ways you can handle it. You can either, probably the best way is to either solder, braze, or weld up those holes, or cut out a piece, weld it up. You can also use a metal filler. If you get one of those metal fillers, you can actually put it on here and you can fill that up, sand it smooth. Those are a little bit harder to work with, like our lab metal that we sell. You can do that, but that stuff is a little more difficult to sand and finish. Me personally, I like to, if it's pitted badly, I like to cut the area out and put a new piece of metal in. But again, if you want to just do a quick fix, you can grab some lab metal, put it on there, sand it out smooth to fill the pits in, and then you can plate right over top of it. That's a good question. Anything else, Scott?
Do you know if you can paint over top of it?
Over top of this finish?
Yeah.
Yes, you can paint right over top of this. You basically would need to abrade it lightly to get a little bit of tooth to actually paint on it. And man, if you did that on top of this coating, you don't have to worry about rust really at all unless something happened where it punched a hole in it or something. So yes, it can be painted over. It is a metal coating that is on here. So you can just sand this lightly, put some tooth in it. You can spray a paint or primer right over top of it and keep moving. So good one.
All right, we're good to go then.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate all the questions. Again, you can get this kit on eastwood.com. We should have it right on the website there. You can grab it. And if you have any suggestions for further live tech sessions that you'd like to see of ours, feel free to drop us a line in the comments, and we'll do our best to get them up there. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you later.